That simple.
Okay. Well, we're
So-
not putting it in right now, so.
No, and I mean, still, they want to have a meeting with the whole Markham board sometime next month.
Oh, good.
Did
Okay.
you see, I mean, the executive committee wants to have a meeting with the Markham board.
Oh, yeah,
sometime
yeah,
next
I've got that information for
Okay.
Sylvia. Sylvia wants me to ask our board.
What dates will work?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that.
Cool.
And I can tell people more details as they need. But, look, I completely understand that it takes a while to get something changed, and
Yeah, the lady I talked to today,
is where, in which department?
the Urban Trails,
Okay.
and she said that we're doing it.
You realize, I talked to Dave. I have not yet talked to Jeffrey directly. He's talking to Sylvia, okay? For good, Ariel. But I talked to Dave, man.
Fuck. Somebody's got to be able to get through to him.
Who, Dave or Jeffrey?
Michael. Well, everybody knows him as Michael, and he changed his name, which it's
He
confusing.
prefers to be called Jeffrey.
Yeah, well, he was preferring to be called Michael for 10 years before that. So it's like confusing as heck because he's
Okay,
like,
well,
I keep
whatever.
forgetting, he's not Michael anymore, he's Jeffrey.
Okay, that's fine.
Habits.
I've always known him as Jeffrey, even several years ago, a couple of years ago when Judy and I were working with him on figuring out some things about this trail, or a trail.
Okay. Why am I doing a brain fart?
And Sylvia keeps saying, we ought to have a big neighborhood meeting where we just talk about a trail.
Well,
I'm less eager to do that until we have more information, which I will try to negotiate with Jeffrey or my neighbor in that end of the park so we can get in there and at least do it. But I will tell you that we may need to raise some money for a surveyor.
the lady I talked to today said that wasn't necessary to have their own people. So we'll see. It's so much conflicting information is coming back and forth.
Well, then,
That we
here's
So I
here's the
invited
deal,
them, they're
Donna.
gonna be at our meeting.
Here, okay, that's fine, but either you or me, not both.
What?
One or the other of us should work on this, not both. I really don't want to do it, but I don't feel I can count on the information you give me.
You need to stop that. You need to stop that right now.
No,
You don't have anything to the contrary, so you need to stop
I
making those
do have
statements.
things to
No,
the
you don't.
contrary.
Then you need to show them to me, or stop it.
Well, you're putting things out that are only half truths.
You don't know that. You do not know that.
I
and
think you're
so you need to
honest and
stop it.
try it, but I cannot count on all the information
That
you
is your
bring.
problem, not mine.
No, it is,
Yeah, it
Donna.
is, because you
Donna,
need to
so
stop
many
it.
people.
John, I'm not gonna get into this with you right now. Here, it's inappropriate. We need to have this conversation later. Okay?
I'm
We'll talk about
trying,
this
no,
later.
we are gonna talk
We
about
are
it
not.
now,
We
because
have a
I am
meeting
gonna
right now.
ask this
John,
board,
we are having
this-
a meeting right now. You need
I
to
am
stop.
going to ask
Stop
the
now.
neighborhood associations
Okay.
either pick me or you to be the point person on this. I would totally
Okay.
support
Stop.
you in
Stop
trying
now.
to help with this, but one or the other of us need to do this.
Why does this conversation need to happen tonight at this meeting?
Because they're asking us, one, to have a meeting with them next, the executive board wants to have a meeting with them next month. And I think the neighborhood should come in with a plan on doing this. I really don't want to take this on, Kim, but darn it, Donna simplifies this
start our
thing to the
meeting,
point
folks,
where
and
it
so,
gets difficult to get the things done.
because I
There's
was
lots of
not
little
able
steps that have to be
to
taken.
focus on what I was doing.
Either me or somebody else.
I didn't.
John wanna do it? I mean, he's got the expertise.
Fortunately.
With all your experience, and all your years.
I know,
of
it's,
having
it's,
positions,
it's,
yeah, randomly
so,
volunteered sitting down here for that for the very first time.
Right, and I'm just saying, we need to make a decision as a neighborhood, who's gonna be the point person this time, that's all I'm saying.
you're
Because
burning those bridges right now, John, so I think you better stop talking.
We can go out here and.
Yeah, sure, right.
Okay, so we have a full packet of information tonight. And, Kim did a lot of housekeeping.
How many minutes do we
Dr. Luckland, it is so good to see you tonight. How are you feeling? Good. And
Thank you.
Dawn, and I feel like a school teacher handing out the papers. So Kim went through the videos and did the minutes as promised, and so there's a lot there. So don't worry about the financial part. All you have to do is listen to me when I say that the bottom line.
Good, that's the important part.
And yeah, don't worry about it. It's too small, but I did put it on the internet, so everything here that you have is on links on our website. So,
Tom is listening to the website.
oh good, because I'm not up yet. I have to do it.
Oh, well, he's getting ready
Let me
to-
give you all a few minutes to read the minutes and find any corrections. That addendum is, Kim listened to the meeting video, or the meeting audio on the March one, because I hadn't posted the March one up yet at the time he did that. And it stopped right before the last motion was made of the meeting. Then when he went back and he looked at the video, he found that there was still meeting going on, because it hadn't adjourned in the recording, the digital recording. So he found it in the video, that's the link online, and was able to complete the rest of the meeting on this addendum. So we'll later, after your approval, we'll combine the two as one, but that's why it's that way. So let me get us up in case Tom is trying to figure out what we're doing.
Yeah,
Did he have his computer up?
he was getting it off when I left, and I was about 6:40.
Okay. See, this is what's so cool. Tom, can I say Pat?
Yeah, of
Can I
course.
say? Tom is in a care facility right now. He had surgery again. And he's in a care facility because he is too weak to come home. And he likes to know what's going on, but he's, immobile. And what's really cool about what we do by putting this up is, people that aren't able to attend in person can attend remotely, if I can get it up. So, it'll take me a minute. So, John, you got a little bit of back information, history on what's going on here with those emails
Yes.
and the lack of support for our neighborhood. The neighborhood voted on it in March and a lack of support. And so I went to that meeting. Did I send you all an email about it?
What about the
The
30th?
executive committee meeting that I had to go to for all of us? Or for
Yes, I think you did.
Yeah, okay. So they agreed to help, but they're not following through thus far.
They, the city.
The executive committee at Sweeney.
Okay.
Continue watching. Okay, so I have our videos up. Actually, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's really strange. It's not coming up over there either. So, were you able to make the land use meeting, John?
I was.
Good, good, good. Good people?
Interesting people.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Well, that means everybody has an interest in something in their neighborhood. And that's surprising. And the issues aren't necessarily clear.
Yeah. I just don't understand this. So, we'll just go without it. Are we ready? No, we're not, because we don't have a quorum. So, what I can do is I can put up Google Chrome, Markham next door, Markham Neighborhood, and fling it over here. Nope, it's fling to the right, not fling to the left. Oop. Okay. Well, that was interesting. All right. So what I've done is I've been in here doing a little bit of housekeeping, trying to get things better situated on the website so everyone can find what they're looking for. Man, it's like way wide, isn't it? It's skewed too. And so if you go to agenda and minutes right here, you'll find the agenda. But what I'll do real quick while we're waiting for these guys to get back in here is we did some really cool things. As you know, our neighborhood, or most of you know, our neighborhood has a net team and has a church and has a cool fire station that cares about its net team and wants to train it so that when something bad happens, we're the best we can be. The captain there has been in 3 different disasters, the California earthquake, the Hawaiian earthquake, and something else. And he said that he was amazed at how much people prepared, but they really couldn't handle the situation because they didn't prepare correctly. And so his goal is to get our net team, after we've done our basic net training, which we've got to get you on board, is take us and actually show us the things that were most helpful that he saw during his disasters that he wants us to understand and learn and be able to communicate with him. So when we mark the outside of a building, they can roll up on that building and see whether or not there's still a team inside, and so on. So, and if there's a fire burning, they can comfortably drop a hose as they're driving on by to size up the entire community before they even can come back. Is they can drop a hose to our net team, and our net team knows how to do it. And Eric participated in that exercise and had a lot of fun. What guy doesn't have a lot of fun holding a fire hose going, wahoo! So it was great fun. You should have been there. You would have really loved it too. So anyway, you know, I've been trying to figure out how to talk them out of one of those houses so we can just have some fun. they're just not interested. So what we've been doing at the church property is our advanced search and rescue exercises, and we've invited nets from all over the city. And our last one on September 30th, Fox News came out and did a newscast on us. and followed a couple of people around, one guy in particular, and also PBEM, Part Bureau of Emergency Management, the net coordinator, Jeremy. He also came out and had brought his PR guy, and he filmed as well. So they're 1-minute videos, if that. I just hope you guys can hear it. And there's not speakers over there. I'll blast this as big as I can. The link's on the website, though, if you want to watch it from home. I hope it comes out. At least you can kind of hear it. Oh, I hate that when they make you watch an ad first. It's torture. Hey.
More than likely, the wonderful Wi-Fi here is going to give you problems.
Did I hear sound coming out of something?
I
Well,
can
out of
hear
your
something.
out of your laptop, yes.
No, it wasn't coming out of the laptop. Oh, come on, start.
On September 19th, a massive earthquake struck Mexico, killing hundreds of people and leaving a
What? That's not our link. Oh, yeah, it is.
million without power.
It's a
This
segue.
disaster has many people here wondering how to respond to an earthquake. Now,
Sure.
in Portland, there are several faults within the city which could lead to earthquakes. In the event of any natural disaster, first responders
Buffering?
say there's just
Well,
not
can be
enough
longer
of
than
them
that.
to reach every person in need. Now tonight, Fox 12's Brennan Kelly caught up with a group that's doing their own search and rescue drills to be prepared for disaster.
About 50 volunteers from Portland's Neighborhood Emergency Team, or NET, got together to run a series of scenarios they could.
Oh, man. Tell you what, I have it on hard drive.
During an earthquake.
I
An
just play it
emergency
directly on
manager
hard
tells
drive.
me in
It
any
might be better
disaster,
than it, only because
90%
this
of
is
people are
kind of
rescued by their
Wi-Fi years
neighbors.
ago.
And that's why volunteers say it's all about.
There we go. Let me get it up on the hard drive.
I have a really interesting story today. I had the PBS line in radio. Just to pick up the song.
I like that.
See. Neighborhood. Markham. Net. September 30th. Oops, that's not it. That's just a picture of it. View. Details. Type. Here we go. Videos. 2 videos. KPTV. There we go. And of course, it's on my screen, not yours.
On September 19th, a massive earthquake struck Mexico, killing hundreds of people and leaving a million without power. This disaster has many people here wondering how to respond to an earthquake. Now in Portland, there are several faults within the city which could lead to earthquakes. In the event of any natural disaster, first responders say there's just not enough of them to reach every person in need. Now tonight, Fox 12's Brennan Kelly caught up with
Does that
a
work
group that's
well?
doing their
You can
own
stop
search
it.
and rescue drills
Or
to
just
be
watch it from
prepared
home.
for disaster.
About 50 volunteers
You
from
better
Portland's
hear it.
Neighborhood Emergency Team, or NET, got together to run a series of scenarios they could face during an earthquake. An emergency manager tells me in any disaster, 90% of people are rescued by their neighbors. And that's why volunteers say it's all about practice and being prepared.
Okay, on the
There.
count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Look just like any sports star practicing over and over again. That's what we need, and that's what the community needs to do to be prepared.
For Tom Fitzpatrick, emergency response is second nature.
Roll back the victim.
He and more than 1,000 others in Oregon are active NET volunteers, part of Portland's Neighborhood Emergency Team program.
So as you can hear it,
With help
essentially
from
what
firefighters,
is going on
volunteers
is this
undergo
is the
advanced training,
net
ready to
team,
act as a
and
bridge to
Donna has
emergency
organized
responders if a
2 of these so
disaster
far, with the
hits.
third
You
one
can do
tomorrow
your own
night.
assessment
For
of how many
the
police
local
are
fire
available, how
station
many
doesn't have
fire
to help
people are
train us.
available.
And this is all
You can
taking
find
place
that
in
on
the
the
old Baptist
internet.
church.
Divide that into the number of folks in the city.
We've done
and
3
that's
daytime exercises.
They're
Tomorrow
not
we're doing a
coming right
nighttime
away.
exercise.
And when they do come, people
Search
like
and
Tom
rescue,
say they will have
size
already
up,
prioritized
medical
who needs
triage, and so
help.
on.
Neighbors
It should
knowing
be about
neighbors and
over.
neighbors helping neighbors, that's what's
There's
important.
Jeremy.
That's what creates
There's
community
who
resiliency.
They're
will
the closest
approve your
people to you,
application.
and they're the
When you
ones
get
that are most likely going to come to your aid if you need the help.
You really
It's
want to do
on
this,
them,
guy,
they
Jeff.
say,
You really
on
do.
you to know your neighbors, to
Dr.
be ready
Leckman,
today.
you
I
have
hope it's
someone
not in my
also in your program
lifetime.
too, right?
But you never know when an event can happen.
Portland's Emergency Community Resilience Manager says there has been an increase in people who want to volunteer. Training is all free, and you can organize your own neighborhood emergency management.
CPR and from any other things. So he just came back yesterday, and I just quickly asked him, hopefully he will train other people.
Oh, cool. Maybe.
Relatively nearby in every top areas. Should be available.
So,
We also keep, and the mosque is not really looking for that much, still keep emergency supply, some food, rice, and those kind of things. We're also looking at, we receive ads with some foods which can go for 20 years or 25 or only 3-pack. We haven't tried those yet, but
Twinkies.
if we can get a smaller packing, we probably try that and see.
Yeah.
Have that.
The buckets that Costco sells, they're 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah, that's.
And is that what it is that you guys
Yeah,
are
I think
buying?
that actually what we saw was bigger,
Mhm.
bigger 20-gallon or 25.
Yeah, they make bigger versions too.
But
Yeah.
we'll try a smaller,
Yeah.
So-
also keep some wood for emergency and some water, and things. So it can be used as a.
so
to
this is the one that Kibem came out and did, and it doesn't have talking in it. It just has background music, so you just get to watch on this one. It's a minute. So this is the church. You see the blue tent on the end is the medical triage. Teams are right here. Kim was doing the door breach. Well, this is the top side, assembling to get ready. 2 fire engines. That's downstairs in the basement, and it's all black. That's the inside of that big tent. Takes 50 patients. That's medical extrication. Well, we don't just stand around, we do stuff. There you go. That Ash Creek Maplewood. I can't read it that fast. Dave's Killer Bread, thank you very much. Eric donated bread, so I made sandwiches, or laid out a spread for people to make sandwiches. Einstein. So there it is. That's what we did. So now you don't have to listen to me about it later. All right, I'm done stalling. So let's just.
Coming back,
Hopefully.
Who knows?
1 or 2.
So let's just proceed with what we need to do, and we'll get done what we need to do. Close this here, and I'll go back up to Markham Neighborhood agenda and minutes, and that's where I posted everything, including the videos. Come on, go. There we go. So including the videos, and for tonight's meeting, the agenda. You take a look at the agenda, and if it looks good to you, we'll approve it. We'll have a motion to approve, although we don't have a quorum.
Can we still do that without a quorum?
Yeah, we can do it and we can proceed, but if somebody contests what we did and wants to undo what we did and we have to repeat in the next meeting, then we do. But at least we're trying to get our work done. We're doing our best effort to get our work done.
Okay. Well, I make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Okay, so Eric and John Baker. Okay, is there any discussion on it? Any additions or deletions? Nothing? Okay, and then we can vote. So all those in favor then, say aye.
Aye.
Seeing that everybody just said aye, then there are no no's. And John and Kim, who are out in the hall, are abstaining. Well, they're absent, so we are going ahead with this agenda as planned. So if you'll take a look at the meeting minutes then, that's what's next. And we'll start with the first set of meeting minutes, which is on your page 5 for March 14th. And if there's anything in there that you'd like to change, well, we first have to have a motion to approve and a second, and then we can talk about any changes or additions, deletions, etc. that you may want.
Motion to approve.
Okay, so Pat, motion to approve March.
Can we do them all at once? Can we do them all at once? That would be
If you
far
want
more
to.
efficient.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so Pat, do you want to amend your
I
motion?
make a motion to approve all of the meetings presented, all the minutes presented to us tonight.
Okay, and then someone want to
Second.
okay, and John Baker. Let's see, minutes approval, Pat. And John Baker. Okay, so is there any discussion on that? None? And that includes the addendum. Okay. So, you can, if you find something later, we can bring it up at the next meeting. All right, so all those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and those opposed say no. Okay, so the motion carried with those that we have present, and we move forward. Boy, this is fast.
Yeah.
Next one is the Treasury report. And on the Treasury report, I'm proud to announce that we closed the public safety and Zara's not here, so I'll report forward. We closed the public safety Markham Neighborhood joint bank account for the Movies in the Park event that we had last summer. We had an arrangement where if we had profit, we gave up to $250 to public safety, 25% of the net proceeds up to $250. So we basically broke even once we get all the bills done, but not all the bills are in yet, which I have your form here, Eric, for Zahara to sign, but I'll have to drive it over to tomorrow. So not all the bills are in. We still have some to put out, to pay out, but we were able to at least close the public safety portion of it, and we're in processing for the rest of it. So right now we're sitting at 0 in the public safety because we've transferred the balance over to Markham Neighborhood, and we're sitting with $1,252.63. So, but we can't, go spending that because it's not all ours right now. Also, in addition to that, sure, hold on. In addition to that, we have $170 in the bottle drop account. And September 30th is the end of the quarter, so Fred Meyers should be sending us a check to pretty soon on the rewards. And those that didn't repeat their nomination to Markham Neighborhood to receive charitable matching rewards, those dropped off in June, and so our numbers are down for Fred Meyer rewards. So if any of you have those rewards cards, please go online and choose Markham or any other charity you want. You don't have to choose Markham, but we like you. We like it when you do.
And that's when, Donna, that those have to be redone again?
Every June.
Every June.
Yeah. So, and it's real easy to do. And if you have questions or problems, you can contact me or contact Fred Meyer, customer service, and they'll help you get that. It's just a little checkbox, and it doesn't take away from your own rewards. So, Pat, your question.
I have a question.
Oh, I thought you did.
Oh, I was thinking I'd go shopping.
Oh.
I was thinking you.
Oh, I thought you wanted a question. Okay. I'm still rattled from, things. All right, so, next on the agenda is, are questions on treasurer report? No? We have our chair reports, our committee reports, and first up is transportation. Jeff Monahan.
Okay. So I think I mentioned this last time, but there's funds allocated for what's been called the Barber Demonstration Project. And that was a series of pedestrian and bike improvements on Barber between 19th and 23rd or something like that, right where like pancake houses and going towards Safeway. But because of the Southwest Corridor, PBOT his opinion is that it doesn't make a lot of sense to make that investment in the area because there's a good chance that in less than 10 years they're going to tear it all out and put in light rail and all those other improvements. So they're proposing to take those funds and use them to fund some other projects that are identified within the Southwest Corridor Plan that would support the light rail implementation. And so that's probably the main thing for Markham. So they identified 4 projects. The most significant for Markham would be Southwest 26, I-5 Taylor's Ferry sidewalk infill and bikeway. So that's, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh. That's badly needed.
Yeah. So let's see, project limits estimated Southwest 26 from I-5 to Taylor's Ferry, 7-foot wide curb tight sidewalk infill on the west side of 26th Avenue. I was thinking of it as a north-south street, but or east-west street, but it's actually north-south. So the west side would be what I would think was the south side. It's the if you're going south of Barber, it would be that side of it. Let's see, property at 9031 Southwest 26 already has existing sidewalk. No sidewalk necessary in that area. 93 feet property. And a wall needed along the northernmost properties of the sidewalk. Estimated cost $400,000. So that was the main thing for Markham. And I wanted to know if they were interested in that instead of the demonstration project on Barber. The other 3 projects are Southwest Custer Drive from Capitol Hill Road to 13th. More sidewalks for $365,000. And Southwest 24th and 25th, Multnomah to Barber, so it's on the Multnomah side of Barber Boulevard. Sidewalk infill and bikeway for $555,000. And the last one is Southwest 40th, Huber to Willard, sidewalk infill and rapid flash beacon for $610,000. So they feel that they could do all 4 of these projects with the funds that would be used, or taking the funds from the demonstration project and complete these 4 projects. So there's been some discussion with the transportation committee. Most of the committee seems to be in favor of the one in our neighborhood, but not entirely excited about the other 3 as far as value for the money. So anyway, if you have any opinions or thoughts on those.
I think the estimate is very, very low.
Yeah.
For 26.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the,
unless the right of way is already there.
I think the right of way is there. One of the things, so this is just one side of sidewalk. So I'm not sure, why they chose the west side instead of the east side, or why not sidewalks on both sides.
Because it's more expensive.
Yeah, yeah. So But anyway, that's the numbers they have. That's
After this came up a number of months ago, I spent a lot of time looking at it. And so this is what I did for a living. And I know you can't, if you have to buy anything in front of somebody's house, it's absolutely outrageously expensive. I mean, it's just, I mean, you could potentially end up buying a house and on that street that goes the entire budget.
okay.
So,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's in the Southwest Corridor Plan, and PBOT has done some preliminary analysis on it. That's the number we came up with. But I can ask that question is if they could consider acquisition of property. I think that's mainly the issue with the other side of the street, where there's some encroachment.
I mean, I don't know what the right foot line is, so just going to say that, I mean, there's some houses that sit down below grade, so you definitely have to build walls there, and people are not going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
And that's why people get attorneys.
Right.
I've got a question for you, Jeff. So in the last meeting or the meeting before, has there been any further discussion about light rail at all, or is that still just something that's being researched at this point?
Well, yeah, it's ongoing, and it will really be ongoing.
So I mean, not necessarily any definitive updates or anything
We
regarding.
have a representative in the committee that is attending the Southwest Corridor Plan meetings, and they're open to the public. Most of them are, I think. So you can go to those, and they're I think they're typically quarterly meetings. And the last topic, if I recall, was really focused on the city center area, tomato and Barbara alignments, and figuring out what to do with Markham Hill going up to HSU, how they're going to get people from the max stop to the hospital, since it's like a quarter mile away or half a mile away or something.
Right.
So they've got a few options for that, whether it's moving escalators or elevators or shuttles or stuff like that. So I think the next one is focused more on this area. So more information soon.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, they're meeting on this on a regular basis, and it's going to be more than years of discussions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So, you can always go to the Southwest Corridor Plan website and see their calendar, and usually have some opportunity to comment through the website as well. And sign up for their email alerts.
Right.
Okay, it's good. Any other questions? Thank you, Jeff.
So just to be sure, I mean, is there general interest in getting the 26?
Absolutely. I have no say because I'm facilitating the process here, but
We don't have to.
the facilitator says yes.
Were they looking to get neighborhood input though on this, as far as a vote or something?
Yeah, well, people, they would like to know. They'd like feedback because it said, I mean, if we really feel like no, we really want to do this part of our demonstration project, keep the funds there, then we can push for that too.
I think more than likely, I mean, it's a shame that not more people are here, but I have a feeling that there'd be an awful lot of people that would be very much for that sidewalk project, only because, I mean, that's kind of the main link between our neighborhood and, if you are taking the bus, that's where, everything is on Barber.
Yeah.
And so as it is right now, it's no fun walking in the street, depending especially on the weather and everything
Yeah.
else. So.
And a lot of people do it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We see people all day, every day, right there. So. Yeah, so I would imagine that you'd find a lot of support for it.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you need any vote or anything like that?
No, I mean, we can if you want, but I don't necessarily need an official letter or anything like that.
Okay. I know that.
Increase that part of the book, would that alleviate that huge slip under the bridge?
Not
That's
necessarily.
different.
This is not something else.
Okay, so I think you have unanimous support on that one, and tell them to hurry up.
Okay.
All right, so next is school chair, and Amanda has passed the baton to Christy. They've been communicating in the backgrounds, and so they're just getting up to speed, and so there's nothing to report there yet because school just started. So, do you have anything to say other than, are you going to PTA now?
I am.
When is the PTA?
It was at 6 o'clock tonight.
Ah,
It used to be at 7, so it was at the same time as this meeting, but now it's at 6, so there I am.
oh, good. That's how we get you. Okay. So how'd it go? Anything going on there?
Yeah, no, not anything, I think, in the broader sense. There is, if anyone's interested in a Chinook book, Stevenson PTA is selling them. If you're interested, let me know. I can send you the link for mobile or RTP.
Okay. Okay. So we want to get with the PTA to get them up to speed with our efforts to get a safe route to school. And so if you could let us know when, is it the second Tuesday of each month? Or
Yeah, so the next meeting, I left it in my car, but I think it's November 14th, and I can,
Same night, okay.
yeah, same
Right.
night, but at 6.
Yeah.
And then the one after that will be in the morning on the same day. So I don't know if that's easier. It's at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. All right.
But yes, second Tuesday.
Great. All right, so up next is the public safety chair, which is Phil Ford, who was very, very sick at the time of the meeting, so he was not able to make it. I can tell you that when I was chairing the public safety committee last year until June or July, whenever it ended, one of the last things that was voted in by the committee was to have a public action committee where the police come every quarter to the Multnomah Arts Center in lieu of a public safety meeting. The police have a roundtable with anybody from the community who wants to come ask questions or express their concerns about something. And they had their first meeting on the first Thursday of this month. And I believe there was a commissioner there. There was the police commander for Central Precinct and the neighborhood police officer there, as well as Jenny Pullen, who facilitated that meeting. And they heard some concerns, and I asked, I could not make the meeting, but I asked that it be brought up during the meeting on our behalf. The complaints that some neighbors have had about the people who go through our garbage bins and assistance in trying to get an agreement with these people. I stopped one. I get emails and messages and stuff from people in our neighborhood when they're in the neighborhood saying they're here again, make them stop. I don't have a way to stop them, but I can stop and talk to them, and so I did. And the lady that I talked to, she and I had a good talk, and I said, is there any way that we can work out an arrangement where you don't go into the blue bins, but that the neighbors that would like to give you bottles and cans can put them on the side, either in the yellow bin or in a bag or something for you, and that you stay out of the blue bins, because I don't know if, how many of you are on Nextdoor, but there's talk and photos of one guy taking papers out of bins, big handfuls of them, and driving away. And so if we could just make an arrangement that they're there, they're going to be in our neighborhood, so let's find a way to get along. And that is maybe put stuff alongside for them. And then if they are in the blue bins, then the neighbors can call the police if they want. But that way we're trying to work a deal where we're trying to get along. Does that sound agreeable to you? So I asked Jenny Pullen through Sylvia, I left her a message, and she was to present that for us. If Jenny would come up with a plan and an idea on how we could get this arrangement for those people that have issues with blue bins getting rummaged through. And Jenny is supposed to be getting back to me, but that's the status of that. And that's all I have on public safety. Eric, you're smiling. Is there something you want to add to it?
Not particularly. I mean, it's interesting that these people are doing this. I mean, because it's, no different than anybody, going through your mailbox or anything else. And so I would think that, they need to be calling the police and not you when they see these things happening.
Right, that's what I told them.
Yeah.
Well, and also I can add that with our security cameras and the way our house is, I'm able to monitor the front door or the front of the house during the day to watch for deliveries and stuff. And I watched, it was in the last month or two, one of those people coming to our driveway, looking in the blue bin, and then on the opposite side of our driveway, clear on the opposite side of the apron, that person walked from our blue bin over to our mailbox and opened the mailbox door.
Oh, no.
And about had a heart attack. And by the time I made it from my desk, up a flight of stairs, through the house, and out the door, the person was gone. And so I wasn't very happy about that. And
Do you have
so
a picture in your security camera that you could show?
I do, yeah. So, we thought about getting a lockbox, and then days later, there was someone next door saying their lockbox was pried open. The important thing Jenny's going to say from crime prevention is shred everything. Don't put paper in your blue bin. And get a locking box. And don't put outgoing mail in your mailbox. And if you're not home, have somebody get packages from your door or accept delivery for you. The basic common sense items. But it seems to be the biggest problem right now, or the biggest chatter, is based on them getting in the loop in. So I think this Julie lady that comes through, she's agreeable to that. And in addition to the recyclable cans and bottles that she can get money for, she's also looking for the ones that aren't recyclable, because apparently she's getting weight for the aluminum cans that aren't returnable. She's taking them to some part where they're melting them down or something like that. She's getting money that way. So, if she wants to, fine, but just, So any other comments that you want me to pass on to Jenny as she tries to figure this one out? Okay. All right, so that's public safety. That's all I know about it. Land use. John, as your first
Oh my gosh.
month?
I'm on the spot. So the only thing I really know about is, and I don't know that much, is Pine Hill subdivision, which was approved by the city for 4 lots. And the big issue, which John Gibbon would talk about if he were here, was that the city is allowing the water to go down the street into the drain. And I keep driving by trying to think what that may be, and I'm not really sure. Because the area that they're subdividing is up on top, so that water may not go down the street.
Where is it?
It's almost to
Off
the,
Taylor's Ferry, west of 26th.
yeah, it's almost to the ramp.
It's where that old Victorian house is up on the hill.
They used to call, my mom called it the elephant house. Not because elephants lived in there, but when she was a little girl, she told me stories of when the circus kept the elephants at that house, and then when it was circus time, they walked them all the way down Taylor's Ferry, which was a dirt road, to downtown where they had the circus, and then the circus over, they walked them back up there, and that's where they lived, was the elephant house. And, my mom has great stories. She knew Fred Meyer and dirt floors and Fred Meyer, so that's what I know it as, is the elephant house. And it's a pretty house, and they're going to pick it up. It's facing south. They're going to pick it up and rotate it so that it faces west, and it'll be on the right. And then three new lots. But the street is above grade.
But it's a hill up on the top, so.
Right, flattens out.
Yeah, so those 3 new lots may be up on top, and so the water may drain the other way, or just stay up on top. I don't think there's a guarantee it's going to come down the street.
Okay. All right, anything else?
So the only other thing I can think about is the pathway for kids to walk to school on 30th, and I think I haven't been in on that one for long enough to know exactly what is happening.
Okay.
And you are.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of it. All right. We don't have a parks person here tonight. So, and that is on our unfinished business portion. So let me say something real quick about the rain garden, and then we'll talk about that so that we stay in order. And the rain garden, I talked to Lisa Losinski. It is on target. And it's not on target. I take that back. It's delayed 1 month. It's supposed to finish in the end of October instead of the end of September.
And what all are they doing there?
Basically the same thing that you see at Barber and 26th. Terraced rain garden with weeds.
And it's also
Weed
the
looking.
17th.
Pardon me?
And also the 17th.
Yeah.
The big
Night-
homecoming.
Yeah, the 17th one's been there for a while.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah, it's been there for a while. So,
They're also paving the museum.
and they're paving it, and there'll be a walking path along it too. And it's supposed to finish the end of October. I thought the stuff that was filtered through that, the liquid, rain and street cred, oil drippings off the cars and stuff, would be filtered down into the creek. It's not going to be filtered down into the creek. Instead, it's going to be carried from the bottom there, that bottom catch basin area, and it heads off somewhere else. And he says it travels 15 miles to like Savi's Island or something like that, where it's treated. So it gets into a pipe somewhere, and it follows the pipes, and so it's not being dumped into the creek.
That's part of the big pipe project, the BES project to take all sewer and take it up to Columbia Boulevard. But there is work that was being done, isn't there, going across Taylor's Ferry? I don't know, I just assumed that lot on the other side had something to do with it, because there's a road now back there.
This project ends at Taylor Street.
Okay.
They might be doing something else that I'm not aware of, but somebody's building a lot back there.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Up off Lancaster.
Okay.
Oh, Vishwash, BHAT. Is that the one you're talking
I
about?
think so.
Right before the Foley Bomber Trail? Yeah. He's
I don't know
got,
if it's the same.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
For the Foley Bomb Trail?
Right before it, as you're going down Lancaster. Yeah, he's building a house right there. And
Oh, yeah.
the city,
actually saw that.
the city had him jump through a few hurdles to get that done too. Okay, so I've got the photos here of this rain garden, and here's before they started digging, and then I have photos here of just a few days ago, and you can see this cement wall on these three parts right here. These two notches right here, the water will cascade over, but at the final drop right here, it's captured and pumped somewhere. And BES is offered to the neighborhood to paint murals or make tiles or whatever the neighborhood would like to do to beautify these three cement walls. So if anyone has any ideas or desire to go and paint a mural,
They're planting them, aren't they? On the inside?
on the insides, there will be plantings, yes. Yes, but there's, basically people don't like looking at all this cement there. And so they're saying if the neighborhood would like to do something to beautify that, they can. And they'll, BES will work with them, and I can put whoever is interested in touch with Lisa, and they'll hear out the plan, and if the plan sounds good, they'll say go ahead. The experience from BES says that if the neighborhood is involved in the beautification of it, and especially kids, especially adolescent kids are involved in the painting part of it, that they're less apt to put graffiti on it because it's their deal and they kind of protect it. And so she said, or she encouraged us that if we were interested to approach schools and see if they would be willing to do something like that, if you as adults have no desire to do it yourself.
I think that's a great idea because it really helps them to get involved and they have something that's specific to them.
Okay.
Seems like they reach out to Jackson, and then the Leonard Bernstein Arts School. I mean, I think they might have some group or club of students that would be interested in doing
Yeah. Do you know those people?
it. Jackson?
Do,
No, but I can figure it out. I mean,
do you want to take this on?
sure.
And okay, I'll give you the info, or you can go on the website for the 19th Street, and it'll show the BES information or Lisa's contact information. But just let me know how I can assist. But that would be a neat way to get the community involved. Kids have fun, and we're done. All right. So now we're on to. Whew, safe routes to school. If there are no more questions on the rain garden. Safe routes to school, the proposed route is along the 30th Avenue right-of-way between Lobart and Huber, and then you cross Huber, and again, then continue up to Marcara, where the kids will be able to enter Jackson, right in front of Jackson Middle School, 35th Avenue, with a rapid flashing beacon. That's the goal. We have an environmental zone because there's a creek there at Wilbard and 30th. And it's an issue, a serious issue with the city because they want to make sure that that environmental zone is protected. So I spoke about an hour today on the phone with the lady with the urban trail permits that would grant the permit for us to be able to get this through. And she says it's doable. We just have to make sure that we have a good plan and it's clear and we do it correctly. And we intend to use Dave Manville from Southwest Trails, who spoke to our meeting before, who builds trails all over Southwest Portland, and use free grindings from ODOT, except for near the environmental zone where we have to use clean fill. And it's for the kids to walk on. The only issue, in addition to the environmental zone, is the homeowners along the way and their resistance for change and letting the kids go through. So, and that's what this was about earlier, because the Quail Park Association is adjacent to that, and they've enjoyed that privacy of a 50-foot, which narrows to a 40-foot right-of-way for many, many years. But we're trying to work something out. We're doing our best to work it out with the homeowners and try to get their cooperation rather than just force it through and have a larger problem. So how I left the conversation this afternoon with the urban trail permit people was that she will be here at our next meeting on November 14th to go over what would be required of us. In the meantime, between now and the next meeting, within the next 3 weeks, she's meeting with me personally to walk the trail, walk the right of way, to see how we can figure this out and how we can get the parties together. Primarily at the beginning where there's a fence, which I had to correct the wording on the website from blocking because it doesn't block completely. It's 50 feet wide. It's 17 feet into it, but it's right to the edge of where the pipe is. So the kids can't get through because the creek is right there. So they need that fence moved back so that they can cross over those culvert pipes and proceed on through. So we're working with him and we're trying to get cooperation, but so far none.
How wide is the street there?
It's 50 feet wide.
The street itself?
Yes.
Okay.
Where the right of way
So,
enters.
maybe do something like the city did on Nido Parkway during the summer, and they cut off a lane for bicyclists and pedestrians. So could they put a Jersey barrier or something in the street and narrow the street a bit so that there was a bit of space for kids to walk?
That's not the issue. It's a good idea, but it doesn't apply here because the street ends right there. We're looking at right here and we're looking down. So that looking that way is looking down on the map.
Right.
And the street ends right here. It's unimproved right away. So there is no street.
But there's no fence there. On that right of way.
There is. Let me see if I can zoom it. May have to get a different photo for you. There's a fence that goes from the house right here, and it goes across all the way here to this tree, and then goes
That's
back.
across, it doesn't go across the street.
It's actually, it's kind of a dead-end right-of-way, and so what they've done is the homeowner has purposely enlarged their backyard, if you will, and built across it.
By 17 plus feet. Which is okay, because it really is not a problem, because the only part that we want to get through for the kids is in the back corner of it. Trying to find a photo here for you, where it crosses the creek. And I think the best way is for me just to pull up a map. Yeah.
So the map that you showed them, where the purple star was where the photograph was taken from.
Oops, wrong one. Yeah. Get on this. I think maybe if I grab this map right here.
But the trail would be in the street right of way the entire distance.
No.
No.
The street
Right
originally in United Street that never went through. It's all wooded.
But that is right of way.
Yes, it is right.
It's owned by the public.
It's owned by the public, by the city of Portland, and the homeowners along there have enjoyed it all these years, and so thus their
And then all of a sudden comes progress.
yeah, and for the children to find a safe route to school. Here's Markham. I'll take this off. Our neighborhood right here, and 25th, 35th. Okay, here's 35th right here. And so the children need to come through. Right now they're going through, I'm not sure if you're, so right now the children are going along the ridge here, and they go right in front of Dr. Lockwood's place in the moss, and then they're going along 35 miles over just after off the 30, crossing this four-way intersection at 35th and Huber, which I have some incredible video on. Kids running because they're trying to get out of their cars. They're at stopping for them, and instead, we're proposing this right of way that's right up there. You see how it narrows right here?
Yes.
Right here, the fence, there's a creek. And this is the Park Association where the Park Trail is. The creek goes right through here. He has a fence that goes from his house out to the culvert, so he can't cross the creek. And what we would like to do is have the children who walk into this right of way, go straight up the river, cross the river, and come all right to their trail, and around traffic flashing beacon. And the 20-mile-an-hour school zone instead of 30. And not a four-way intersection where everybody's trying to rush to work. That was the goal, but it's taken a little bit of effort to get everybody on board with it. So the city is saying it's doable, and we're looking out and help us talk about it. There's a process that we have to go through in getting this done, including getting a mirror out to everybody within a quarter mile of the trail, so that they're aware of it. Calling a public meeting, involve all of them and talk about it, she's proposing on November 14th, but I think that's too soon to really get this all done by then. So I think it should be the next meeting. And then, ask some other good support to make this happen. And, I don't know what more to say to it other than what parent does not want to have their child go somewhere to and from school? But then what homeowner doesn't want to have
More privacy.
user privacy? So, trying to balance these two and find a way for everybody to go along and make it, as benign as possible, but still keep the children safe.
Again, I would suggest that if 30th is wide enough to create a 5-foot path with just the installation of some sort of a bollard or something, so the kids could walk. Narrows the street, people can't drive as fast, which is a plus.
Are you talking about
In the street,
walking
where they're walking, where you want them to walk on 30th.
on the right of way?
No, in the street.
Well,
There isn't a street.
There is no street, it's just wood.
so,
That whole street there is
It's
wooded.
wood, yeah,
Okay.
it never was developed,
Okay.
so there's no cars there,
Okay.
and so, so I think you want to like, be good.
Right. I
So-
didn't understand.
Yeah, and so it's all wooded and, it's sparsely wooded though.
Right.
And, we just wanted to bring them right along the fence, there's a fence line right here, just bring them as close as possible along the fence. And, bring them right up this way. The people that are up in this little area, where this right away is, they're all for it. They already have a trail there and they're walking the kids coming through. So, but they're used to it. The one in the lower part aren't. So we just gotta try and work with them and try to find a way along. And,
Well, that's a rough one. I mean, at the end of 23rd Drive, there's a path that goes up to Miracle. We have the people who, on one side, have encroached on the right of way by 10 feet. And I called the city many years ago. And the city said, oh, well, I mean, it's not doing any harm. Public property.
yeah,
The city didn't care. They left the fence there,
yeah,
10 or 15 feet in.
yeah.
So anyway, it will be difficult.
Another thing I just thought about that, it never occurred to me in thinking about kids walking through this kind of wooded trail. Is that something feasible even like in the winter time that would still be fairly easily accessible to them? I mean, or would it just be the big muddy mess that they're kind of?
No, that's why we're using ODOT grindings.
Okay.
So ODOT rips up a road, they grind all that up, and then they donate it free for these trails. And so, and Dave Manville, that's what he does, is he builds trails. And so he makes a base first of the trail, and then he fills it with the layers that he needs to fill it with for foot traffic. And, except for the environmental zone, 15 feet either side of that creek, my conversations today, was that we need to protect it with clean filter, so that's gonna cost us some money. Also, at one point I offered with one homeowner that has a fence, that was chicken wire back there, and that we would remove the chicken wire to let the kids through, and then just continue this nice wood fence, really painted wood, paper wood, to actually improve this fence, and this fence on doing more privacy that way.
That sounds really easy.
So it should have been a win-win, but, I think it's just changed, and, we can continue to try and work it out. Know what else to do.
Well, I think you do what has to be done. You've started the conversation, you're continuing through with it, so.
Right, and I asked her other things, like, do we have to get an engineer, we just spend a ton of money and all this, and she says, no, we have those people in your department. You just have to give us your plan and send us the application, and we have people that will do that. And I said, do you need a topographical map? And she said, no, we'll figure it out. Because it's much more, easier for neighborhoods to get things like this for their neighborhood uses. So, the sidewalk along 26 would be really cool, and this trail would be really cool, and we'll be able to keep up through it. easily.
So if I'm understanding, it sounds like that November's meeting, she'll be here and we can discuss this a bit further.
Yes. In addition to that, for people that are on the board, the current board, they received a barrage of emails within the last month because of tension and problems with this proposal. And so I got called down to the executive committee meeting next week and was asked to have a conversation with them about it. And the board was 50-50 on whether I should go, so I went. And they agreed in the conclusion of our meeting, by the conclusion of our meeting, that they would support us in what we're trying to do. And John is president of swimming, and he's supposed to be looking at the person with the fence. And in the meantime, I'm still dealing with people that I've been working with in the city to try and figure this out and get it through. And that's where we are with that. The Southwest Neighborhood Incorporated is a coalition office that we participate in the coalition. We're an incorporated neighborhood. We decide what we want to do in our neighborhood. We vote, the people that are here vote on what they want to do in our neighborhood. And we're recognized by the state, the city has a neighborhood. And the coalition has no power over us as far as what we decide to do as a neighborhood. So accepting Sweeney's assistance and getting this through is fine, but I objected to their standing in our way, basically because of like a problem, So I caused the heat.
It should be a simple thing. There should be a recommendation to the city to use that right of way for a trail, period. And it's the city's problem to negotiate with the property owners. We don't have to do that.
It's just the city's problem.
Absolutely.
It's their property.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody's encroaching on their property, and there's a group of people who want to use the city right of way for a public purpose.
You bet. And not to mention the fact they have whole departments of people that this is what they do and take care of. This is their job.
There is a approved process for getting a trail through, and it requires getting support of the people that live in the area. There's a number, I think there's 3 different ways you can do it, but it's pretty extensive, really. It's like 50% of households within a half-mile radius or something, which is like the entirety of Markham.
Yeah.
Well, to get the trail or to use an existing trail?
To develop a new
She
trail.
did permit
Develop a new trail.
She did permit to do the trail. Yeah, it's
Even on a right
Yep.
it's if you have the agreement of the homeowners that are immediately adjacent to it, good. If you have agreement with the homeowners that are within a quarter mile of it, even better. And then the other way is to have the neighborhood association want it. And our neighborhood association on the March meeting, that piece of paper right there with minutes on it, we voted to proceed with the urban trail permit process. And
But it's not, you need the neighborhood association to vote on it, and then you also need the neighbors within a quarter mile radius.
right. So what the neighborhood has done is they've voted in March to go forward with this. And so what we need to do is submit the permit and then have the notification sent out to all homeowners within a quarter mile of the trail and hold a public meeting for them to come and speak their piece. And the city will also be here during that part. And, hopefully everybody can agree to something and the city can get it through.
I'm curious if,
We've been waiting for months to try and work this out and it hasn't happened yet, but I keep hoping. Yep.
have they actually ever issued a permit under this trails plan?
They have not, as far as I know. I talked to her about that today. And actually talked to another person yesterday about it. And there's, I think they, if I remember correctly, said about 10 of them in, and they haven't approved them yet, but they're in. They're a new department, and it's a new process, and I don't know what the hang is, but
Well, if they're even vaguely close to what the situation is here, there are gonna be people on the other side who say, no, we don't want that.
yeah. And there's one in another neighborhood that the Southwest Trails has submitted for a permit that is exactly like ours in that it's asking for a safe after school for children. So they said get it in because it's going to take a while. And I asked her about how much of a while is it. And she said, well, if you got it in today, you probably have your permit in 5 months. That's what she said in the best case scenario. And I said, so then it's possible that we could provide a safe after school for children if we renew the 2018-19 school year? She said yes. So, we're neighbors. We want to get along with our neighbors. And so, trying to balance that, getting along with neighbors, and getting something done for families. You're going to have a child here coming, walking to school pretty soon. Do a little better right now, but cute little guy right now. Yeah. She's going to want that in here for him. Yeah. So, if you want me to go ahead with we have a quorum right now because there's 7 of us here. We're all eligible for vote. If you want me to move forward with submitting the permit papers, I will.
So moved. Yes.
So John Baker has moved to submit paperwork. Eric has seconded.
You better write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, go ahead and write that down now, because I think this is important. I mean, you've been fighting this battle on your own for far too long, and I think that it's just time to get them involved.
Eric motion. John Baker and Pat second. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. And any abstentions? Okay, so motion carried. So I'll do the best I can.
That's all you can do.
Well,
I think what John said about taking advantage of the city departments that are for this thing would be the best way to load up the shelters.
Definitely.
okay, once that permit goes in, I totally expect pushback.
I wasn't here earlier, but it sounds like we're already getting pushback. I mean, people
Yeah.
are
Oh,
complaining.
you weren't here earlier. Yeah.
So like,
I had to take them out in the hall.
I think that email that went out today was totally appropriate. It should have been a private message. That one from Jeffrey. It just was ripping to shreds.
Yeah, so the person with the fence is upset, and I understand, this change, but we'll try and make it as benign as possible for the benefit of the kids and families. All right, so Maricare Park ferry doors, the building a new trail is in the private property area, so that's just a temporary, for the kids to do the ferry doors. Kid is not here tonight, so there's not a whole lot going on there. We don't have any new business. Does anybody have any announcements?
I have a question. And granted, I mean, given everything that's going on with the safe routes to school and all of that, it's kind of like, one big battle at the time here. But there's been multiple occasions that you've mentioned that we as Markham Neighborhood aren't necessarily bound to be part of Southwest Portland Neighborhoods Incorporated. Should we ever make the decision as a group to not be part of that coalition, what would be involved with that? Would it be as simple as a vote? What would that take to put something like that in motion?
And what would be the downside?
Yes.
Well, I've been asking that question, and I spoke to the Office of Neighborhood Involvement about it, if it ever came to that. And there's no, we're not required to be part of the coalition. There are other neighborhoods in the city of Portland's 95 neighborhoods that are not part of the coalition. They're their own standalone neighborhood associations. ONI gives somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a year to the Southwest Neighborhoods Incorporated Coalition for putting out our public announcements. It's a grant to help the neighborhoods in communicating to their community about what's going on. Well, social media has changed that a bit. because we have many different ways that we can communicate now. So I asked him, well, what about that money? And he said that they would grant us money. If we were a standalone neighborhood, they would grant us money to cover the cost of our communication needs to our neighborhood. I don't know exactly what that would be, but it would be a help. And with social media, it doesn't cost anything to put an extra thing up or put something on our website or, so on. But for mailers, like what we need to do for this trail, that will cost money. It costs us about $300, I think, for our National Night Out, that little card that we send everybody.
Would we have to do some kind of like, we have 501c3 or something?
charitable
Would we have
nonprofit.
to do some kind of organizational structure in order to be recognized as our own neighborhood association? I mean, it seems unlikely that the city would just write a check to you as the president or to the
Neighborhood association, not to me.
Right, but I mean, it seems like without having some kind of
Right.
organizational structure.
Right, so we do have our corporation papers in, and they are current, and they're renewed every year with a fee. And Sweeney pays that with the grant money that they're given. So they take care of all the neighborhoods incorporation papers every year. As far as the 501c charitable nonprofit designation, we'd have to apply for our own.
Well, we wouldn't need that in order
we don't
to,
need it, but yeah.
We would need the incorporation piece of it.
Yeah, but
And Sweeney would
that's
need it.
nominal every year. It's not very much money at all.
And
It's a
Pat's question, is there any immediate downsides that you can think of that would affect us should a decision like that ever be made?
Well, in this last 6, 7, 8 months, we've pretty much gone totally independent. We haven't requested any printing. We got 50 copies a month or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But I just printed everything myself at home. They provide newspaper service, so we get a section in the newspaper. But part of my complaint to them, which preceded me being called into the executive committee meeting, was they're censoring us. And if you notice, in the month before last, all we got was a photograph in our section, and so it was about the fence. And so I said, you're censoring us, so that's unacceptable.
Well, I think I understand your concern about that, and it's a valid concern, but I think I would move forward with the permit on this, and at the present time, I'm not worried about pulling away from Sweeney.
Right. We're
I mean,
not.
it's just, this is the bigger issue, and the other one just sort of will stir people up, including people who used to be sitting in a chair right there.
Yeah, well, I think what Eric's pointing at is that the coalition needs to be supporting the coalition neighborhoods in the things that they vote that they want to do for their community, and the coalition office should not be working against the neighborhood. And we voted to do this in March, and we've gotten pushback on it, and and I think John's in a very difficult situation because he lives in Quill Park, and they don't want it, and he's the Sweeney president, and so there's pressures there, and then he has to come here and listen to us in our neighborhood, and so I think he's put in a very difficult position, which is causing a problem for communication with us. But hopefully we can work that out.
Well, I think we voted tonight or something to enable us to move forward, so that's sort of the end of that one.
And quite honestly, like I said, it's kind of one big battle at a time. But my reason for bringing this up is that it just seems like that we've just been met with so many different roadblocks, through Sweeney. And if it's not anything that we're necessarily gaining as a positive out of being a part of this, and it's really more of just, almost having to add more red tape to everything, it's almost like, why do we want to be a part of that? So anyway, that's my reason for that.
All of the committees are Sweeney, So, station land use, safety, schools. I think that really helps tie our neighborhood into the bigger picture of
Yeah,
what's going on.
exactly, yeah. And I mean, and I don't know how this works exactly. I mean, if we were to ever decide to pull away from it, I mean, granted, all of those meetings, the public is welcome, so I mean, we could still attend them. I mean, maybe not in some sort of official capacity, but I mean, we could still get the information. So,
We wouldn't have a vote at the Sweeney Coalition, but that doesn't preclude us from working directly with the city. So, but it is helpful for the committee chairs to go to their committee meetings and hear what's going on, and also the city tends to listen a little bit more to the coalitions with the ear, So there's a little advantage there, but that doesn't preclude us from anything. And we're such a small neighborhood. We have one business and 2 churches, and we don't have anything else really going on. We're just all residents, and so we're pretty quiet. And we have a couple of issues with the light rail coming through. It's going to affect our neighborhood. And the cutoff, the quarter-mile cutoff is right at our home. It includes our home. So the infill, and the infill is going to be a big change for all of us. We're getting 12 new homes on that Habitat property. And what this person tried to do for the fences is separate the house into 2 levels. More homeowners are doing that. They're making ADUs and so on. So the city is allowing that to happen. And so we have more and more people in our area, or on our roads, and so on. So it's going to be even worse for the kids traveling to school.
It's not gonna stop.
Yeah, and the phone thing with people texting and on their phones. I sat in that intersection after that thing passed, and I watched, and they're still on their phones.
I'm supposed to make today on their phone.
Hmm?
I'm supposed to make today on their phone.
Yeah, and then we have the Boone's Ferry Road culvert repair that's coming up. That's gonna be a 9-month project. It's been postponed some, but they're detouring all the traffic along Stevenson and 35th. And so those kids, there's another challenge for them. There's more cars. I don't know how many more cars it's gonna be, but I think it's gonna be a lot. So, unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
I've got one quick thing. So the Southwest in Motion project started this month, or I guess maybe it was last month. I don't know, last couple of weeks they had their first kickoff meeting for the working group, and I was able to attend. Meeting starts at 4:30. Can't get there at 4:30 on the weekend. So, talking about this trail that you're interested in, that fits right into what they're doing. So,
Do you think they would assist?
well, they can get those type of things on the sort of city plan. And
What is that?
Southwest in Motion,
You came to our meeting and asked you to do a map, right?
no,
No.
okay. So Dave Manville from Southwest Trails came and talked about getting their interest incorporated into Southwest Emotions, or SWIM is what we call it. But the SWIM project is bigger than Southwest Trails, or bigger than the trail project. It's looking at all active transportation and where the gaps are. It's really sort of trying to identify the gaps and prioritizing them so that when money comes up, they can go, we've got this project right here, and gonna get it done over. So, it's not I wouldn't expect anything necessarily tangible immediately to come out of it, but as city planners and stuff come up with projects or come up with funds and they're looking at things to do, they'll have this plan in front of them because they will have already identified these gaps in active transportation and they're going to work on that. So, making connections through neighborhoods like that trail, sidewalks, pedestrian crossings, all that kind of stuff is fair game for the project.
Amanda Fritz at one time wanted to put a sidewalk on the east side of 35th all the way up. You know, right now it's like grass and gravel, and then at one point you can't even get through because of shrubbery. But that I don't know whatever happened to that. It kind of like died. You remember that? She's trying to get that through. We did. I reported multiple times, and I asked other people to report as well. On the Huber Street, the house that's kind of scary looking right there, to get the city to go and get those bushes back so the kids don't have to walk in the street as they're approaching that intersection. And they finally did do that, and there was a nonprofit that came in there and with volunteers, and volunteers spent a couple of days and they cleaned all that up. And they also repaired the fence for them. So that was really cool.
So, but anyway, my point is that we might want to have a representative with this project.
The swim?
Yeah.
On this project with us?
Well, they have a working group that's going to continue for like the next year developing these plans. And a lot of the neighborhoods in Southwest Sweeney have representatives at this meeting. We don't have anybody from Markham coming to it.
To the swim meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to volunteer?
Well, I mean, I can't go to a weekday meeting.
Is anyone else
How often
interested?
I think I'm not sure. It's no more than once a month for sure. But probably more once every couple of months.
It's not a Sweeney.
No, it's
I mean,
Portland
it's-
Bureau of
yeah,
Transportation.
right.
This project.
I like the look of that.
Okay.
If you can with me.
Sure. Yeah.
Great. So the other thing is that net team, you saw the exercise. They're having their nighttime exercise tomorrow night, 6 to 9. And if any of you are interested in seeing what we do, or if you're a new person that just got trained, would like to participate, have them contact me, and we'll give him a run for his money and see what he learned.
All right, motion to adjourn.
And Pat seconded it. Eric and Pat, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so next month, we'll have the urban trails permit lady here to go over that. And I kind of kept quiet about this meeting, thinking that things were gonna get heated up a little bit for that meeting, the November meeting. So we just didn't have enough figured out to proceed yet. So I think that by November we should. She'll give us a clear idea of what we need to do, etc., and help us get the notifications out and stuff. You're doing a good thing. You're doing good work in the neighborhood. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming tonight. Okay.
We need to move to.
Yeah. John, did John Gibbon transfer the land use email account to you? Okay. I can have.
That needs to be done.
Yeah, I notified Amanda and asked Amanda to transfer hers. Did you do it, Amanda?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'll ask John if he has any emails in there that he wants to pull out that are personal or something, to do that and transfer it over to you. And then Sharon.
Otherwise, I won't have any idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. And then, well, see, it's good to transfer the email account so that you can see what the history.
Right.
And then Sharon at the Sweeney office, I transferred the domain over there to her so that she can reset the password for you. So if you ever lose the password, all you have to do is contact me or her and we'll get it reset. So let's give John an opportunity though before we go and just swipe it from him.
Okay.
To check it for anything he wants.
Under the circumstances, that would be a good idea.
They were over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you think they killed each other yet?
Huh?
Do you think they killed each other yet?
I was really surprised they didn't come back in.
That was so inappropriate.
Her husband has cancer in the face, and he's had multiple surgeries, and they're just told today that no more.
No, he's carrying on. Like, make him stop.
So they're gonna go into the palliative hospice ward.
Yeah, he's in Cranford right now, so we have to go straight back.
So my question to you is the bylaws. We had a person here last month that questioned our bylaws because it said draft on it. So could you check our website and see if our draft is the correct version?
Yeah,
This
I
is
can
the-
do that. I did give up my
Got
bylaws
it.
position.
Yeah.
but I'm
Do you know where these tables came from?
Right over here. So I just want to make sure, because I think all I did was just forget to remove the word draft.
It's probably in the footer, and I just forgot to take it off. But I
Hang on.
it's fine. It's not. Yeah, I'll double check.
I think it's just a simple delete. Delete the draft.
Was it a watermark or was it in the footer?
It was in the footer.
Oh.
It's like, that's the most recent I have, you know, so.
Yeah, we finalized them. I remember that.
Eric? Is Eric still there?
I think
He's
you
sort
have that.
He's doing,
Mediation?
he's needed for that. I think he's thinking of science. At least one of us back. Two.
Finish just in
Right
time.
down all of you.
I'm sorry.
Minutes. Did you put some
Doing
more
what?
minutes? Minutes?
Oh, yeah.
I need to take those.
They're online.
Okay, but do
they
you
need a
have,
hard copy?
I'd love a hard
Just
copy.
bury them. Okay, so what happened was, Kim did
Tim told me.
the minutes on.
March, yeah.
Yeah,
No
So-
problem.
so I need a stapled set if I can find one. Maybe not. Well, here's an unstapled set. No, that doesn't feel like 14 pages. Maybe, yeah, it is, because it's double-sided. But there's a separate page.
These are the budgets.
Here you go. This is the full set.
Okay.
But wait, I have to give you the second page.
Okay.
The addendum. I didn't have time by the time
No, that's fine.
he realized. It's like, I already printed them, Kim.
Okay. All right, and Kim and I have gone over this and steps that need to be taken and how we'll proceed. You're supposed to have somebody from the city coming out. Do
She's
you?
coming to our next meeting from UTP.
Okay,
And in the meantime, she's walking it with me.
okay,
And,
when are you
so
gonna
that
do
she's
that?
clear.
Do you know?
I don't know.
Let me know, but I will be out of town though, from the 26th through the 30th. But what I told Kim is, I can't talk to the Quail Park people. I mean, I won't see them till next week. I have talked to Dave Manville. Sylvia's been talking to Jeffrey. I've asked Sylvia to have Jeffrey get in touch with me, and I will continue to push for that. But Sylvia wanted next month was a great big neighborhood meeting about the trail, and I don't think that's right timing.
It's not, it's too soon because we
Yes.
have to get the notice out. We have to get
Yeah.
it drawn and
But
what they
let's set
decided
up a
tonight,
meeting.
John,
What?
was to go forward with planning it and get on the get in the queue for the permit. Basically, they want it submitted, and then we need to do the mail notification, which UTP sends out for us. Sweeney doesn't do it, UTP does.
No, I know that.
Okay, and call the meeting, and
Now,
they will
you-
be present during the meeting.
And I will tell you what Dave Manville told me and leave you. It's not one that he really wants to do. He feels that, Don Bach actually feels that the stuff at the bottom of the hill around the pipe, the ground and everything in there is moist, and he doesn't really want to build a trail there, but we'll see. what I told Kim was what we really need to do is get in there and figure out exactly what the distance from the top of the bank to the Jeffrey's property is, because until we know that, we can't even be sure that we can put a trail on the right of way.
Yeah, well, but you know, we need to have somebody talking to us in order to figure this stuff out, and that's been the problem. And each time he agrees, I talk to him and he agrees, he changes his mind. So,
No, well,
we
I
need
don't
somebody
know,
else to deal with that.
and I will deal with that if I can, but I don't think Jeffrey's the person. And what I told Kim was, saying that we need to move the fence in dealing with Jeffrey just continues to raise the red flag. So we ought to just put the fence down lower after we get the permit. The fence needs to be removed if we get the permit, okay? Removing the fence is just continues to stir Jeffrey up. So if we can get that off of our website.
Well, we're not talking about the wooden fence though, right? We're just talking about the chicken wire.
No, the wooden fence should stay in there until we've got the permit.
No, I don't think the wooden fence should ever go. I think that he's enjoyed that property. He should be allowed to enjoy it. It doesn't matter as far as.
John's talking about.
The wooden fence that blocks access to the right of way.
You're talking about the website.
Right. And I'm saying.
You're talking about practicality.
Okay. What I'm saying is some of the fence, in the end, I'm almost positive that to use the right of way for a trail, the wooden fence is going to have to be removed from the property. But I don't think we should move the wooden fence until we've got the permit and the fence comes out as the last thing, and then it can be removed. But we need to negotiate that with Jeffrey.
I asked her today on the phone. It's been about an hour with her on the phone. And I said, is there any way, because I don't want to disrupt his yard any more than necessary. I just want to come and notch it out for the kids. Is there any way that we can ask the city not to require that removed and just, make enough room for the trail? And she says she has to look at it.
Well,
it's like I'm trying to be as benign and as compromising as possible. And
but what I'm saying is we ought to just, if we remove the fence, if we leave in remove fence, it ought to be farther down the list below getting the permit. The permit is the next thing.
None of the work gets done. Nobody does anything. Nobody touches anything.
And I will take on. The problem I have in Quail Park is there's no way I can get on to, we can't get to the ends of those pipes to figure out where they are and where the bank is in relationship to Jeffrey's fence and his property until we go across the guy's property down at the end there. That's the only, or one of my other neighbors. And right now, none of them are happy at all about this, and I've got to negotiate with them and explain, as I told Kim,
John's got some work.
I've got to do some work with Quail Park, and the problem is I've been promising to do them write some other letters for them and stuff related to stuff in Indian Hills, one of them.
Does he need to sign this?
I want him to see it, and if he wants to fill out the top portion, he can. But Zahara needs to sign it for, if Zahara was here tonight, if you give it to John, you could take it down there, but it's not going to happen. So,
yeah, no. But let's just work a little more on the website. I mean, you're not going to make everything.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I did, and I'm okay with it. I'm not sure that what the situation is on the executive board. I wish they all weren't involved, but I couldn't do this all myself for obvious reasons given. I've got to go work with Quail Park. I don't know if I'm going to get them to agree, and I don't know how we get on. We either have to get Jeffrey to give us permission to get around his fence or through his fence to get back there to measure from the pipes. But I will tell you, what I am concerned about is that those pipes and the banks that are created by all that water running in there are less than 15 feet away from what is now Jeffrey's property line. Jeffrey's property line with the right-of-way. And if there's not 15 feet, then we can't meet the minimum standards that allows you to build in an environmental zone.
So the first
what
step
about-
is having the city lady come out.
Well, yeah, if she can get in there, let me see, try to keep her from not coming till after Tuesday of next week, because that's when I meet with the Quail Park Board. And I'll tell her that, you know, the Sweeney, or Markham wants to continue with the permit, and the next step is have somebody from the city come out, and we want to go in there and measure everything out and see if it's even feasible to do it without getting onto Jeffrey's property, because that's really where it stands right now, Donna, is.
Yeah, you could get to it from the top side, just have to walk down there.
And yeah, we could do that if we have to.
Right, hugging the fence the whole way down.
Yeah, just walk all the way down.
Yeah.
I'll tell you later some interesting from John tonight about unimproved right-of-ways.
Yeah, unimproved right-of-ways.
That's why I had you add that word in there, unimproved.
Yeah, it's an unimproved right-of-way, but that doesn't necessarily mean the city owns it. And even if it is owned by the city takes the position property owners on both sides are responsible for it until it's improved in some way by the city. That's why you have to get this permit.
Which then indemnifies the homeowner from any injuries or liabilities on it, which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing, but
improves their position.
yes, it's better than what we have on the trails. Yeah, it's better than what people have on a sidewalk in front of their house, because a property owner is liable for a sidewalk in front of his house. So ultimately, getting that permit is a good thing, but until you get that permit, you're on the hook for the whole 9
So,
years.
the property owners that are along Ridge and 29th Place have talked to me about the Quail Park Trail being on their property, and because it meanders, and you know it's following the trail, it's following the creek contour, and not the property lines, and so they were asking, and that's when Judy walked up, and you know she's overhearing me talk about.
Yeah, it follows the trail. It does,
the right of ways and all that. And, you know,
but at least 2 of the properties, the ones that I'm familiar with, where they are, it's absolutely on their property. Those 2 particular properties down close to 30th, they're subject to an easement.
A forest easement?
There is an easement on 2 of the properties for a pedestrian pathway, but not where the trail is. It actually, the way that the Indian Hills development was laid out is that there is a trail easement between 2 houses there.
Oh, you're talking about Scott's house?
Nope.
No?
Scott's house is a different situation.
29.
10,050 and 10,038. We have there's a pedestrian easement between 10,050 and 10,038, and the actual situation is the Quail Park pathway goes across the back of their property on the other side of the creek. Now, I don't know where else the Quail Park Trail might infringe on properties, but I know that it's always on the backside of. I don't think it's. I'll look.
It's either just people are just talking about paths and right of ways and where you know they're saying that the Quail Park path is on my property and I'm not complaining about that, and you know so we just
but I'm not sure that it's on their property other than those 2 properties, but that's the only ones I've looked at. And it is on those 2 properties, but those 2 properties also are subject to an easement that's never been used that would put a pathway right between their 2 houses up to the streets. And Jeffrey's property.
Quail Park has an easement all the way up to Ridge between those houses.
Yeah.
It can't be near 30th then, it has to.
No, it's those two
No,
houses.
they're-
All the way up to Ridge?
10,000.
So by Scott's
Well,
house?
at Scott's house, yeah, we own a 10-foot strip at Scott's house, all the way,
You guys
between
are-
Scott's
You guys
house.
are at two different locations in your Brian.
No, but I was telling her about the easement down close to 30th, between 10,050 and 10,038. There's an easement there. And they're right, the trail goes across the back of their property.
But, as you said, that there was also an easement
There was an easement.
granted. So, yes, it does, but there's an easement.
Yeah, the easement doesn't follow where the trail is, but there was an easement granted for pedestrian access.
Okay, so here's the trail right here.
Right,
Um,
those next two houses over.
1060.
Yeah,
So this would be, okay.
yeah.
This would be
If you could
Katie
get,
Beth and,
yeah,
and this would be, okay.
uh-huh.
And there's one between them?
There-
How could you possibly get a trail through those two? Look at the way they're.
No, I know, but there is absolutely a pedestrian easement between those two houses.
There can't be that much room between those two houses.
There's not.
I mean, I'm surprised
That's
the city even allowed him to go that close to the property line with that building.
I know, but that building is probably sitting on the easement.
Oh, that's gonna suck. They're the people that actually, this guy, I'll show you, this guy that lives right,
Mm-hmm.
right here,
Is it-
32nd, right here in this house.
Uh-huh,
He got out of his car, he parked it right here,
yeah,
got out of his car, went in his house.
mm-hmm.
I'm working away at my desk and all of a sudden it sounds like an airplane just flew into a house.
Oh, no.
What happened was he didn't put it in park
Uh-huh,
and it slowly started rolling backwards and it rolled backwards all the way down here and went kaboom.
into that house.
And the guy was in the bedroom holding the brand new baby in a rocker, feeding it. And it was a brick front house. And the back end of the car just smashed right into all of it and knocked him out of the chair with the baby.
Oh, man,
And so this guy had to pay for it all.
yeah.
And so they just had their whole front of their house rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to lose the brick because whatever, I don't know why. Maybe
I don't know.
cost or whatever. So,
But
that would not make them happy if they found out about it. But there's a garage right there. Maybe you can find out if they extended the garage.
Well, I mean, the easement was listed on the Indian Hills. Oh.
So
And then
This-
Scott's
this-
house,
this-
between Scott's house, which is, what is that? 9908 and 9860 on
18.
29. Yeah, we need to get out of here.
Good.
There's a 10-foot Quail Park owned piece of property.
Okay, so between Scott's house 2826 and 2818, there's this strip right here. You see that? Is
Yeah.
that what you're talking about?
Yep, that's owned by,
Right here, this strip.
yeah, that's owned by Quail Park.
It looks like that house is on there too.
Yeah, we tried to get it located because it's